Have you ever felt alone in a room full of people? That's the paradox of loneliness. Loneliness, as we understand it, is a complex and deeply personal experience. It's not merely about being physically alone, but rather it's a state of mind. You could be in a bustling city surrounded by millions, yet still feel a profound sense of isolation. This is the paradox of loneliness, the uncanny ability to feel alone even when you're not. But what causes this feeling? Is it the absence of meaningful connections? Or perhaps it's the disconnect between our expectations and reality? The answer, as you might have guessed, isn't simple or straightforward. It's a tangled web of emotions, circumstances, and personal history. Now let's flip the coin and consider another perspective. Loneliness, despite its negative connotation, isn't always a bad thing. In fact, it can be a powerful catalyst for self-growth and introspection. Consider the chrysalis of a butterfly. Enclosed in its cocoon, it's alone, isolated from the world. Yet it's in this state of solitude that it transforms, emerging as a creature of beauty and grace. Similarly, in our moments of loneliness, we too can undergo a metamorphosis. We can use this time to reflect, to understand ourselves better, and to find clarity in the chaos of our thoughts and emotions. Loneliness can also foster a sense of independence. When we're alone, we're forced to rely on ourselves, to make decisions without the influence of others. It's an opportunity to discover our strengths, to confront our weaknesses, and to cultivate resilience. We must remember that loneliness is not a permanent state. It's a season, a phase, a chapter in our lives. It's a journey inward, a voyage into the depths of our being. Did you know that some of the greatest thinkers and philosophers embrace solitude? Think about Aristotle or Nietzsche. They found inspiration in their moments of isolation, using it as a springboard for their ideas and theories. So, as we embark on this exploration of loneliness, let's keep an open mind. Let's not fear the solitude, but rather let's welcome it. Let's see it not as a prison, but as a sanctuary, a place of growth and transformation. Let's not forget, some of the greatest thinkers in history embraced solitude. Picture this, a philosopher from ancient Rome sitting alone contemplating life. This is the image of a Stoic. Stoicism is a school of Hellenistic philosophy that flourished throughout the Roman and Greek world until the 3rd century AD. It's a philosophy that teaches the development of self-control and fortitude as a means of overcoming destructive emotions. The Stoic does not seek to extinguish emotions, but rather transform them by a resolute ascesis that enables a person to develop clear judgment, inner calm, and freedom from suffering, which is considered the ultimate goal. Now let's talk about solitude. In an increasingly connected world, the concept of solitude can seem alien, even undesirable. But for the Stoics, solitude was not a burden, far from it. It was seen as an opportunity, a space for self-reflection, self-improvement, and personal growth. Take the Stoic philosopher Seneca, for example. He once said, "We should enjoy our friends and converse sweetly with them, but it is of supreme importance that we should become accustomed to being able not to miss them." Seneca believed that solitude allows us to become self-reliant, to rely on our own judgment, and to be at peace with ourselves. Or consider Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor and a prominent Stoic philosopher. He spent many years in the battlefield, away from the luxuries of the palace, often in solitude. He saw this not as a hardship, but as an opportunity to reflect, to write, to develop his philosophy. His writings, often composed in solitude, are a testament to the strength and serenity that can be found in being alone. The Stoics viewed solitude as a time for introspection, for understanding oneself, for quiet contemplation. It wasn't seen as loneliness or isolation, but rather a time to engage with one's own thoughts, to question, to learn, and ultimately to grow. Through the lens of Stoicism, solitude is not a state to be feared, but rather embraced. It offers a chance to connect with oneself, to understand our own nature, to reflect on our actions and thoughts. For Stoics, Solitude isn't a curse, but a blessing. So what happens when we bring together loneliness and Stoicism? Loneliness, as we've come to understand, is a complex emotional state. It's not always about being alone, but more about feeling alone, disconnected and isolated. On the other hand, Stoicism, a philosophy born in ancient Greece, teaches us to detach our happiness from external circumstances and find peace within ourselves. When these two intersect, it's like two sides of the same coin. Loneliness, the feeling of isolation, meets Stoicism, the pursuit of inner peace. But how can these seemingly contrasting concepts intertwine? Well, Stoicism teaches us to reframe our perspective. It encourages us to view loneliness not as a pit of despair, but as an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. Instead of resisting the discomfort of loneliness, Stoics would advise us to lean into it, to understand its roots, its triggers, and its effects on our psyche. Imagine for a moment, you're in a crowded room yet you feel alone. Stoicism would suggest that you delve into that feeling. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Is it because I'm physically alone, or because I feel emotionally disconnected? Stoicism prompts us to dissect these feelings rather than shying away from them. Now let's flip the coin. Loneliness can also provide an opportunity for Stoic practice. The Stoics believe that solitude is a powerful tool for personal growth. It affords us the chance to reflect on our thoughts, to practice mindfulness, and to develop resilience. In the quiet moments of being alone, we can cultivate an understanding of our own emotions and learn to control our reactions to them. It's important to remember that Stoicism doesn't promise to eradicate loneliness. Instead, it offers a different way to perceive and handle it. By adopting a Stoic approach, we can transform our understanding and experience of loneliness. We can learn to see it not as a burden to escape from, but as a path to greater self-awareness and inner peace. And so we find that at the intersection of loneliness and Stoicism, there lies a profound realization. In the silence of solitude, we find our true self. How does changing our perspective change our reality? Let's delve into that. Consider the ancient Stoics. They believed that our view of the world around us is the product of our thoughts and perceptions. We perceive things not as they are, but as we are. Our perspective then becomes the architect of our reality. Now let's apply this to loneliness. We often view loneliness as a negative state, a pit of despair, an abyss of solitude. But what if we could shift our perspective? What if we could see loneliness not as a prison, but as a path to self-discovery and growth? Imagine a vast open field. At first glance, it may seem empty, desolate, but change your perspective, and it transforms into a canvas of opportunity, ready to be painted with the colors of your imagination. This is the power of perspective. It can turn an empty field into a canvas, a dark night into a starlit spectacle, and yes, loneliness into a journey of self-discovery. For the Stoics, perspective was the key to resilience. It was the tool they used to navigate the storms of life, to find peace amid chaos. Loneliness, when observed through the lens of Stoicism, can become a catalyst for growth. It can be a space for introspection, for self-understanding, for deep thought and contemplation. It can be a time to reconnect with oneself, to reevaluate our values, to redefine our goals. In the silence of loneliness, we can hear the whispers of our inner self, the subtle hints of our true desires and dreams. In the solitude, we can discover the strength of our character, the depth of our resilience, the breadth of our potential. This is not to say that loneliness is easy or pleasant. It can be challenging, even painful. But by changing our perspective, we can transform this pain into power, this challenge into an opportunity. So, next time you find yourself alone, remember the Stoics. Remember the power of perspective. Remember that loneliness can be a journey, a path to self-discovery and growth. In the end, it's all about how you choose to see it. How can we turn loneliness into a strength? Now that's the question we need to ponder upon. Let's dive into the world of self-discovery, where solitude is not a curse, but a blessing in disguise. Imagine walking in a forest, alone, with only your thoughts for company. Initially, it might seem daunting, but once you delve deeper, you realize the strength that lies within solitude. Embracing solitude is akin to embracing ourselves. It's the opportunity to know ourselves better, to understand our strengths and weaknesses, our passions, our fears. It's the chance to work on our self-growth, to become the best versions of ourselves. But how do we do that? The answer lies in the wisdom of the Stoics. They teach us to be our best friends, to find joy in our own company, and to use solitude as a tool for self-improvement. Stoicism encourages us to transform solitude from a state of loneliness to a state of peaceful self-awareness. The first step is acceptance. Accept that it's okay to be alone, it's okay to enjoy our own company. Embrace the silence, the tranquility that solitude brings. It's in this silence that we can hear our inner voice the loudest. The second step is introspection. Use the quiet moments to reflect on your life, your actions, your decisions. Analyze what went right, what went wrong, and how you can learn from it. Introspection is the key to self-improvement. The third step is action. Use the insights gained from introspection to take actionable steps towards self-improvement. Learn a new skill, pursue a hobby, write a journal, meditate. All these activities enrich our lives and fill our solitude with meaning. And finally, cultivate gratitude. Be thankful for the solitude, for the opportunity it presents to understand ourselves better, to grow, to evolve. Gratitude transforms what we have into enough and more. So, the next time you find yourself alone, remember these steps. Embrace your solitude, nurture it, and watch as it turns into an enriching journey of self-discovery. Remember, it's not about being alone. It's about being at peace with yourself. As we conclude this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts and suggestions on topics you'd like us to explore further. So leave your ideas in the comments below.